always been fascinated with tornadoes, to be honest. I never want to experience it, but I've always been fascinated about it because we don't have things like that in my country. My country is so blessed with not having natural disasters and having all these resources, but we are misusing it, obviously. However, I've always been very, very intrigued by these natural disasters or phenomenon, and like, tornadoes, volcanoes, things like that. Though I never want to experience it in my own personal life. If things like this happened in my country, it could take like 5 years before things go back to normal. But I guess nature gives people different problems that are able to fix. If this kind of thing happened, my country will not be able to fix it in time for people to go back to their lives. So this should be interesting to see. Let me see the tornadoes that will go down in history. Let's get right into it.
From incredible footage of Canada's most powerful tornado to a picturesque storm tearing through a field in Wyoming and a destructive F5 throwing debris in Oklahoma, here are 5 tornadoes that will go down in history. Nicknamed Hub City, Lubbock, Texas acts as the economic and education hub south of the Texas Panhandle. On May 11th of 1970, Lubbock, Texas became known for much more. A powerful multi-vortex tornado touched down as night fell over Lubbock. It caused $135 million worth of damage, or a little over $1 billion in today's money. Most of the damage was surveyed by a man named Ted Fujita, who created...
we would be dead if this happened in my country. No coming back from this.
...highly detailed remappings of the storm's path. A year later, in 1971, the Fujita scale would become the go-to method for rating tornadoes. For reference, Ted gave the Lubbock storm an F5 rating. 2 other storms developed before the primary F5 tornado. Then, at around 9:35 p.m., the main storm touched down in southwestern Lubbock and went on an 8.5-mile journey of death and destruction. The storm was wide enough to encompass nearly a quarter of the city before it finally lifted 25 minutes later. In all, 26 people lost their lives in the storm, and 9,000 more lost their homes. At the time, it was the most costly tornado in U.S. history, but it still came with a silver lining. Despite widespread damage, the relief and reconstruction effort revitalized the Lubbock economy and sparked a period of physical and financial growth. Moore, Oklahoma seems to be known for one thing and one thing only: crazy, powerful tornadoes.
Wow.
The town is in the heart of Tornado Alley and the greater OKC metro area.
Tornado Alley. Really? There's an area named Tornado Alley, and people still live there. Man, you guys have some balls, man. I'm not. If I go to any place and I hear that the name of the place is called Tornado Alley, like that area is known as Tornado Alley, why the hell will I live there? Jeez.
Yeah, is good for one bad tornado a year. According to the Weather Channel, things have only ramped up since the 1980s, with the metro area experiencing an average of 2 to 3 twisters each year. Ben Holcomb, a career storm chaser, was there on May 20th of 2013 to chase
A career storm chaser. Damn. Man, these careers, man. Some careers that people have. Storm chaser. Like going towards the danger. Videoing it. I guess without people like that, we'll never see footages like this. So kudos to them.
a storm that was meant for the history books.
Here we are, we're on Southwest. We're on 19th Street here in Moore. Going west.
People still living their lives.
We're on 19th
in the
Street here in
Tornado
Moore.
Alley.
We're going west. There's a huge wedge on the ground. It's about ready to impact the city of Moore.
It's going right up the old, almost the 99 path.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. All right, we gotta go. Go. Now, go. Get in the car. Get in the car. Do not get out.
Whoa.
The video starts with Ben watching the sky from behind a Kohl's and GameStop as the storm forms in the distance. His team hits the road to get as close as they can, while Ben documents where the storm is headed. Tensions rise as they get closer, and everyone in the car starts screaming, "Go, go, go!" They bounce from spot to spot, eventually getting some great shots of the full scale of the tornado.
Man. Is it not coming closer?
This is not what I wanted to see. I really didn't want to see this.
That's going to be very bad.
I didn't really want to see this. Comes the rain curtain here. You're gonna have to put your window up.
Wow. And that's still close.
Go, 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 go. Let's get in behind this.
You gonna go forward?
Yes, go.
Hit by debris like hey, the gallons outside the car, man.
Well, get in! Wow, look at it right here. We got.
Hey.
Wow, look at that.
Holy cow. This is not good. Can we get south?
No, no, let's stay right here. Look at it's like we're right here. Yeah, we can flip around and go 1 mile south and get east. Yeah, we need to get.
Whoa, here comes
flip
debris.
around, flip around.
We're on the outer band.
Yeah, here comes the debris. We'll get out of here. Hold on.
I can't get my.
The shot of the road where the tornado tears through the power lines and you see a cop drive away gives you a great idea of the sheer scale of this beast. Not long after, Ben and his crew make a quick escape as debris starts to hit their car. A while later, the storm finally dissipates, leaving a trail of destruction in its wake. The 2013 storm stayed on the ground for 39 minutes as it traced a 17-mile path through the city and surrounding area. It claimed 24 lives, injured 212 others, and caused an estimated $2 billion in damage. Ben must have felt lucky to make it out alive after chasing one of the deadliest storms in U.S. history.
Wow. Kudos to
Believe
him.
it or not, Laramie,
Without people like that, we can't see footages like this. So kudos to him.
Wyoming is the third largest city in the state, with only 32,000 people. The town sprung up in the mid-19th century when the Union Pacific Railroad line crossed the Laramie River, making it a hotbed for travel in the Midwest. Unfortunately, it's also a minor hotbed for tornadoes, as it sits on the border of Tornado Alley. Things changed in
Tornado Alley
2018
again.
when Wyoming turned into a storm chaser's paradise. On June 7th of 2018, one of the most picturesque tornadoes of all time spawned about 9 miles north of Laramie. The Washington Post called it the most photographed tornado of 2018, as plenty of people got incredible footage over its 45-minute lifespan.
Man. Wow, look at that. That actually looks beautiful though. It looks really beautiful. Damn.
The storm looks like a thorn jutting out of the sky as it makes its way towards the ground. Once
Yeah.
the funnel fully forms, the whole thing takes on a thick gray tone, looking like a solid mass of wind tearing across the countryside. It almost seems too perfect to be real. We see just
telling
how
you.
wide the storm is with some up-close and personal shots
Yeah.
as the
From far, it looks like some slim stuff, but look at this, very large.
wind spins counterclockwise. But as powerful as the storm looks, it didn't do that much damage. There was some spotty damage here and there, and a few structures, fences, and power lines took a minor beating. Thankfully, nobody got hurt, and most of
Really?
Laramie could sit back and enjoy nature on full display. 2018 proved to be an uncommon year in Wyoming, a state that only gets about 6 tornadoes every year. By June of 2018,
About 6 tornadoes every year. That sounds average. Really? Damn.
the National Weather Service had already received 13 reports.
Now I do understand why a lot of immigrants I know of that have gone to the United States, none of them live in mid-America. All of them are living either in New York, Miami. They're living in these big cities, even though they can hardly afford it, but they rather live in the big cities because we as Nigerians, for example, we are not used to things like this. Like we are not. So we rather go and live in an area that doesn't have any of this. I can't imagine going to go and live in Wyoming or Oklahoma, where there's the risk of things like this. Count me out.
Manitoba is the 5th largest Canadian province, smack dab in the middle of the country. It sports vastly different climates depending on where you are, from Arctic conditions in the north to dense forests and freshwater lakes in the south. It shares its southern border with North Dakota and Minnesota, leaving its southern towns susceptible to violent Midwestern weather. One of those towns, a tiny unincorporated community called Eli, was nearly blindsided by the most powerful tornado in Canadian history. On June 22nd of 2007, an F5 tornado touched down as part of a 2-day tornado outbreak in the area. At its widest and strongest, the Eli storm spanned 150 yards, with wind speeds reaching between 260 and 320 miles per hour. Just as the storm touched down, some storm chasers were there to film it. About a mile away from the storm, a group of storm chasers gets the shot of a lifetime as the Eli tornado forms overhead. You can see debris swarming around the base of the twister as it rips through an open field. Our storm chasers worry about the tornado potentially hitting the town, but there's nothing they can do but sit and watch. At one point, the storm looks like an eldritch horror coming down from the ominous sky. Then, in a blink of an eye, it fades away. Thankfully, the people of Eli had sufficient time to evacuate thanks to early warning signs.
I swear, I'm not trying to mock my people, but if this kind of things happened in some villages in my country, some people would think it's some godly thing, some maybe devilish thing that is happening. They won't even think about it like a natural disaster. They'll think it's some godly devilish thing that is going on.
However, the storm still caused $39 million in damage, destroying a flour mill and several houses while tossing one car 330 feet like a Hot Wheel. Now, there's been some dispute regarding the F5 rating, especially after Canada adopted the Enhanced Fujita Scale, or EF, in 2013. Basically, the EF scale accounts for damage more than wind speed. For example, an F5 tornado on the old scale meant wind speeds between 261 and 318 miles per hour. On the new scale, it's anything over 200 that causes significant damage. Thankfully, nobody lost their lives in the Eli tornado, but it still goes down as the strongest twister in Canadian history.
Wow.
Wichita Falls is a city in northern Texas and home to just over 100,000 people. It's the administrative center of Wichita County and has a long-standing relationship with powerful tornadoes. On Friday, April 3rd of 1964, an F5 tornado touched down in Wichita Falls, causing $15 million in property damage, or about $143 million today. The event was known as Black Friday, years before the phrase became synonymous with the day after Thanksgiving. The storm destroyed 225 homes and damaged another 250, but it pales when compared to the 1979 storm, aptly named Terrible Tuesday.
Anyone in the sound of my voice, there is a tornado on the ground near the Psych Center area in Wichita Falls. Please take cover. GPO, where's GPO? Okay, that thing looks like it's moving directly east. It's on the north side, still on the ground. Mr. Brady, go ahead. Golly, I'll tell you what, they've got a bad one up there. It appears to be coming into the town, heading towards the Kell Freeway.
On April 10th of 1979, a violent weather outbreak in North Texas spawned 13 tornadoes in the Texoma area, an interstate region between Texas and Oklahoma. Wichita Falls got hit with the most powerful storm in the series, a record-setting F4 tornado that wouldn't be topped for another 20 years. Around 6 p.m., a 1.5-mile wide tornado struck near Memorial Stadium, right in the heart of Wichita Falls. The area was heavily populated, and despite the early warnings an hour before the storm, 42 people still lost their lives, and another 1,800 suffered injuries. The storm hit just when people were getting home from work, perhaps stuck in traffic without enough time to find shelter. Terrible Tuesday left 20,000 people without homes and caused $400 million in damage, or just over $1.6 billion today. It set the record for the most costly tornado in American history until the 1999 F5 tornado in Moore, Oklahoma ascended to the throne.
Wow. Let's see number
Now,
one.
if you're deathly afraid of tornadoes, May of 2013 was a bad year to live anywhere near the Oklahoma City metro area. The town of Moore was already recovering from the EF5 tornado that ripped through the city on May 20th. Then, 11 days later, another
Imagine that.
record-setting storm touched down 40 minutes
11 days
west in
later.
El Reno. The worst part? It was only one of the dozens throughout the week. The storm hit around 6 p.m., roughly 8 miles southwest of the city. As it moved over open fields, the storm snowballed in size, eventually becoming the widest tornado ever recorded at 2.6 miles wide. For reference, that's about as wide as 38 football fields lined up end zone to end zone. The storm was a multi-vortex tornado, meaning several smaller tornadoes rotated around the central vortex. Thankfully, the storm stayed over open terrain, limiting its destruction and impact on human life. Still, 8 people lost their lives in the El Reno storm alone, including a team of expert storm chasers
Imagine.
and one man who just wanted a good picture. Some
Man.
isolated locations along the storm's path suffered some severe damage. Most of the buildings suffered EF3 level damage, and some described the OKC West livestock market as a war zone. Meanwhile, the Canadian Valley Tech Center sustained $40 million in damage to its mostly brick buildings. The 2013 El Reno tornado is, without a doubt, the most infamous of all time, and definitely one for the record books.
You know, every time I see these natural disasters in the US, I would just be picturing the fact that when the natives were living there, how did they survive? You know, without the technology and everything to be able to prevent it, how did they survive? And the white people, the Europeans that came to the Americas, coming to a strange land, coming to a land with all these natural phenomena and everything, or phenomena. I mean, sometimes I just look at history, look at the people of the olden days. They had balls, man. They had some balls. Most human beings of today are so scared. We are just a bunch of, I can't use that word on YouTube, but you get what I'm trying to say. Wow, this was interesting, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think. Have you ever experienced a tornado? If you're an American, or if you're in any other country, Canada, that has this kind of natural disasters, let me know what you, whether you've experienced anything like that or anything close to this. And from what I'm seeing, it's almost like tornadoes happen all the time. I mean, they're saying 6 times a year. I mean, what is that? So obviously it happens a lot. So maybe those ones are just little tornadoes that don't really matter, I guess. But if you have experienced any of these big, disastrous tornadoes, let me know how it was and how you survived it. I would like to know. Give me some story time. Anyway, guys, I'll see you on the next one. Like the video to get this video out to more people, and subscribe to the channel if you are new. See you on the next one.